Today we are going to look at a very fascinating cognitive little incongruity and the sheer rage and hatred that it produces. So, last weekend I decided to try a little experiment, and it succeeded beyond my wildest expectations, to be honest. See, the progressives have themselves a new TV show, The Mighty Nein. Something or other. It's a critical role show, and hey, good for them. At the very least, this is a progressive thing that doesn't absolutely butcher somebody else's thing in creating it. Other than the deep dicking received by D&D, I suppose. But let's be honest here, the Wizards of the Coast have been asking for that one for quite some time, so it's no skin off my back. But I noticed something fascinating. The show has a character, this one right here, Bo, I think, who obviously doesn't look particularly female, despite supposedly being one. And a lot of people are going, oh my god, this character design is so good, she's so sexy, she's so attractive, this woman. And I'm thinking, you don't actually think that. You don't look at this and think that this is a good female design. You don't even look at this and see a woman. This is, however, a shibboleth. You understand that this they-them character is a point of political principle, where you have to recognize that they are a woman in spite of the fact that your brain goes, I is a dude. But how does one prove this? Well, one could, for example, simply put out a tweet saying, this is a woman, and receive 1.7 million views, the majority of which are people incandescently screaming at me. How the hell could that be the case? After all, I'm speaking the shibboleth too, right? And then you've got this. Woman so hot, I forgot this was a hate tweet. Immediately, the cognitive dissonance, the incongruity, bubbles forth to the surface. On the one hand, this woman is so attractive that it blows your mind. You can't even understand how this, calling her a woman, is a hate tweet, and yet it must be. How does this work out? Well, the person in question recognizes me and goes, political enemy. He's calling her a woman though, but she is a woman. Oh, hold on. This is a political point. I don't actually think she's a woman, but this is my left-wing politics speaking. Therefore, this is a hate tweet, and she's in fact incandescently attractive. And then the anger comes in. Why the anger? Well, quite simply so, your little rear brain there looks at this picture and goes, that's a dude. That is a man. In fact, if you showed this to 10 people, 9 of them would simply go, oh, that's Sokka from Avatar. That's actually Sokka. Same hairdo, same eye color, same general face shape, same general tan, this one being a bit of a darker picture. Like, that's literally just Sokka from Avatar The Last Airbender. But the 10th person will again recognize the shibboleth and go, oh yeah, that's a woman. Absolutely. And if somebody he sees from the same political spectrum goes, that's a woman, they'll go, oh yeah, of course, that's obviously a woman. But if the political opposition says it, they recognize immediately that this isn't a question about whether it's a woman. They know it's not a woman. Nobody's confused that this is a male character right here. But they then get angry. Why is my brain saying this is a male? Why is my political opposition correct? God, no, this is making me furious. It's a fairly common human defensive mechanism. When something we believe in rationally contradicts what we understand to be the case intuitively, and in this case, naturally, it is very difficult for us to unwind that particular knot in our brain. It is a part of being human that it's very difficult to look at something you've clearly done wrong and actually accept, oh yeah, that was completely wrong. Especially when you've built so much upon it, like, oh, say for example, an entire political ideology, your basis for existence and raison d'etre. So, let's dive into this a little bit deeper, because there's a lot more fascinating things here. Again, this character is from a Critical Role roleplay, The Mighty Nine, and is indeed canonically female, although very different in her original incarnation, as we will get to in a second. This was, of course, again, Critical Role, who are full of very fascinating individuals, like Sam Riegel here. So, the US House voted to make it illegal to maim children by chopping off their genitalia and or breasts, and Sam Riegel goes, "Fuck you!" Okie dokie then. It's unusual to see someone openly being pro-child maiming on the internet, but it happens, as we can all clearly see. But Critical Role has of course attracted a very left-wing audience, who are now attempting to argue the case in amusing ways. For example, this one. Your point? My point is that that's a woman, and this is not. First and foremost, facial features. Feminine. More feminine than this. Makeup, hair, clothing. This is a woman, and it is immediately recognizable as a woman. I don't have to think about it, my brain simply goes, yep, female. Whereas, again, not quite so much. There are others like this as well. Incels finding out that butch lesbians are a thing. We know, we have those over here as well. We call them trailer dykes. Oh, like a bad word on YouTube? I'm not sure. I have not had much opportunity to use it, frankly, but even then, this is a more feminine woman than our Soka character. That is a female face. In masculine clothes, sure, but that is still obviously a woman. Even these two, this one's a bit more dubious, a bit more androgynous, but female, absolutely. Simply having short hair is not enough to make the brain suddenly go, man. No, that's not quite how that works. We human beings have actually gotten really, really good at recognizing the opposite gender for, reasons of survival and so on. And again, comparatively, those are way more feminine women. And, once more, the original concept for the character. How long ago exactly was this role play, I wonder? Let's see here. Is there any date on this? I'm expecting it to be a fair old bit in the past. 2019. Imagine that indeed. So initially, this character was actually designed to be a female. Recognizably female, but then was changed for the Amazon Prime version of the show in an even more politically tense situation now in 2025. How strange indeed. And then there's this. Taking bets, is he pissed because she's brown, because she's hot, or because she's gay? I didn't even know she was gay up until now, but thank you for informing me. See, here's the thing. The reason why this is an excellent little experiment is because I have exactly zero connection to this character. I don't even know their name beyond what I've seen on tweets, which I presume is Bo. And her skin color? What does that even have to do with anything at this point? We're talking about her gender, which isn't even mentioned here. Again, them using little incongruity. So, this is my political opposition. He must either be racist, an incel, or homophobic. Alternatively, I could simply look at the person and go, but is that a woman? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain? And why are you being so weirdly defensive about it? And the overacting as well is another fascinating little point. White cells mad their breasts act normally and not anime floaty. There's no wonder they don't float. They're barely buoyant. But the exaggeration. Keep these strange, porn-addicted freaks away from the Mighty Nine. The comments are exactly what you'd expect for this terrible app. Porn-addicted. there's a fascinating one. So, you would, if my theory here about the cognitive incongruity is correct, expect people to try to overbalance themselves, right? Once your rear brain is screaming something, you'll want to shout it out. You wish to protect your ego and go, no, that's totally not the case. Like, here, let me rationalize it. And speaking of strange porn-addicted freaks, oh, there are a lot of porn-addicted freaks in this post. A whole lot of them. Jesse, autistic, queer, any pronouns. Free Palestine. Okie dokie then. Jolly Wicker, he, they, from Poland. Excellent. He too is incredibly horny at this sexy character, this incandescently attractive female. And what a woman! I want to be where the gay people are. Hell yeah! And what a woman she is! Goddamn muscle mommy me up, gender fluid, demisexual. Like I said, the overbalancing. Even if, and here's an interesting point as well, right? So, I actually gonna point it out, obviously designed for a, can't say that word on YouTube, audience's gaze, and apparently, but is that really the case? Now, it might be. Perhaps this entire design is simply what the, they-thems find attractive. Maybe, androgynous people try to find androgynous people attractive. Strange, but no, I think instead the reason why it comes across this way is because of the attempt to overcompensate. To scream out the little lizard part of your brain that looks at this and goes, I'm sorry, that just doesn't compute. Which is the only reason why so many people are so incredibly upset by this. Or alternatively, I do have an alternative theory as well, namely that maybe, especially why a lot of they-thems are upset, is because they recognize that this is kind of how normal people see them. When a they-them attempt to pass, 9 times out of 10, it looks, well, a little bit like a highway accident more often than not. And even when they somewhat succeed, they in the end only end up looking, well, like a slightly more effeminate man half the time. Or vice versa in the opposite direction. Mayhaps this too begins to trigger something deep in the mind and goes, damn, even if I try as hard as I possibly can to become the woman that the left has always tried to indoctrinate me into being, I'll always just look like a man. An unfortunate little mental disorder, to be absolutely certain. But, again, fascinating little experiment, and a very interesting response to it as well. I'd love to hear all of you guys' theories on this as well. How can this cause so much anger, so much butthurt, especially considering as well that we're just using their shibboleth? I'm not even disagreeing. I'm not making an argument. In fact, I bet you if I made the argument this isn't a woman, here's why, they wouldn't have been angry about it. Because they would have gone, oh, political opponent is saying something that goes against my politics. Shrug, move on with my day. But by using their language, it seems to have triggered that incongruity in the back of their minds, as suddenly they find themselves agreeing on a base level with the opposition, needing therefore pathologically to try and counteract it. To try and somehow argue the opposite, to prove me wrong, if only to shout outrage into the great wide, worldwide in fact, net. I like Twitter. After Elon took it over, it's been a far more interesting platform. Until next time, I thank you all very much so for watching. I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, Have a good day.